Welcome to Food Talk for Health. Here is your host, Tonia King.
My guest today is cookbook author Rachel Riggs. Today we're talking about the brand new book, In Good Health. Thanks for joining me, Rachel.
Glad to be here.
Your story is very interesting. I love the fact that your book says it's a vibrant new cookbook that nourishes without compromise. And it's not just a cookbook. You really do provide a lot of great information on getting healthy, staying healthy, and really being conscientious about what we put in our mouth.
I really appreciate that you think so. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, I think the short version is just that I was, as they say, living your best life. I owned a specialty food shop, and then I got suddenly ill. It was a post-viral thing, which I only mention because people have become more familiar with that scenario after COVID. And so this was long before COVID, but it was a post-viral kind of trigger, and I became really sick and I had to sell my shop. And then not only did I sell my shop, but then I ultimately learned that I needed to change my diet. I at least needed to do an elimination diet and see if there was any impact. And it turns out there was a huge impact. And so what I thought was temporary, I assumed I would eventually add those foods back in. After all of these years, it's been 10 years now, I really have not added many of those foods back. And I have put that to the test like everybody else. You think maybe things have changed, maybe you can reintroduce things. And I put that to the test a lot of times. But since then, my stance has really evolved. I wouldn't go back in this respect. Nutrient dense eating has become my passion. It's not just for people with chronic illness. Our whole landscape has changed.
It sure has, yeah.
Yeah. And so, for example, even if you don't have any kind of chronic illness, there are a lot more sort of environmental exposures that increase our need for nutrients because of soil depletion. Our food contains fewer nutrients. So there are all these things. A lot of us are coming at this at a deficit, right? And so it's like the low-hanging fruit in terms of taking care of yourself and achieving whatever your optimal health is. It has to include diet. It needs to include nutrition.
So you had a food specialty shop years ago.
I
That's
did.
what. So you've been involved with food for a long
Oh,
time.
yeah. Yeah. So not only I had basically all the best foods at my fingertips, all that I would search out literally over the whole, through the whole world. I would search out the best representation of each food. I sold wines. There was always hundreds of cheeses in my case at any given time. Um, I was able to choose from thousands of cheeses, both domestic and international, then all kinds of chocolates and charcuterie and olives and anchovies. And just all the best specialty foods. And I had to learn to cook without the majority of them. So I had to really reinvent myself. And I would even say that my identity was very, very much involved in the food industry and that side of myself. And I never really looked back. So
The book is definitely, it's about more than food. It's about empowerment, that's for sure. It's pretty exciting to think that there could be so many wonderful, delicious recipes. In your book, you say it's free of gluten, grains, dairy, nightshades, soy, legumes, shellfish, refined sugar, and peanuts. And most people would think, well, what else is there to eat, right?
I know. It's quite a list.
And yet, though, you have a book here filled with wonderful recipes, which I can't wait to try.
Yeah, it was really important to me to not I didn't want any sort of overt signs that anything was missing. And so there are no faux ingredients, there's no faux versions of things. I'm not trying to make pizza with a cauliflower crust and a no mayo sauce and faux cheese. It's just not my vibe. And
Right.
there are so many foods in the world, you just don't have to go that route. So it was really important to me to create a book that looked as beautiful as any other top-selling cookbook. The photography was really important to me,
Beautiful.
and thank you, and the ingredient lists. It's basically looks like any other cookbook, and you wouldn't even necessarily know anything's amiss unless you
Right.
new,
Yeah,
right?
I'm looking at the recipes. It's just all real ingredients.
Yeah. And so I think that the other point, that I like to make is that, hey, even if you don't have any dietary restrictions, these days, chances are somebody at your table does. And so I have just in reading articles and comments and things like that, like actually was a specific article in the New York Times that brought to my attention just the level of frustration people are feeling for having to accommodate so many different people at the table,
Yes.
and keeping track of things. It's like you want to accommodate people that you care about, but you might not know how to do that. And this book omits so many things that it can accommodate nearly everybody.
I know what that's about because, well, I do quite a few dinner parties, and
Oh,
all the
cool.
time I have to think about, okay, this one is gluten free. This one is vegan. This one only eats meat. There are a lot of things that you have to think about when you're entertaining with people that have different food sensitivities.
It can be challenging. By the way, we need to bring back the dinner party for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes, I agree. Let's talk about some of these delicious recipes. Why don't you share some with us? Short, sweet, and delicious. The ingredient list is not a mile long.
The ingredient lists are short, the prep is minimal. This is an ingredient focused book, not it's not about fancy techniques.
Right.
So for dinner parties, my favorite, I hope you'll make this for your next dinner party, is the everything seasoning encrusted halibut with a horseradish aioli.
Ooh,
That is dead easy. Halibut is available, fresh wild halibut is available year round, so it's not a seasonal recipe. And it's just one that's always a huge hit. So it's sort of theme specific.
yeah. Tell me about that delicious halibut, how you do it.
So everybody's in love with the everything bagel seasoning, right? It's
Yeah.
ubiquitous. It's everywhere. My favorite is Trader Joe's brand, but so the halibut is just encrusted in that seasoning that everybody loves and most of us have in our pantries. And then it's a super easy aioli that you make with a mayo instead of sort of making your own mayo from scratch. You just use your favorite mayo and a few other ingredients, and that's it. And it's dead easy and it's super popular. It looks impressive because you've got that seasoning crust on the outside. And again, it's like halibut's year round.
What are the ingredients in the mayo?
Not
Oh,
very many. There is lime zest. Think there might be a little bit of lime juice. There's prepared horseradish rather than fresh grated horseradish, and your favorite mayo. So I mean, it's an easy aioli that's made with mayo instead of like
great.
totally from scratch. Yeah.
Now, are you baking that a certain amount of time or are you broiling it?
Um,
How are
it's
you cooking it?
it's it's pan seared, and then you slide it into the oven like you would at like a steakhouse for making like a steakhouse steak. How you start it on the stovetop and then you finish it in the oven. It's made like that.
Mm,
You sear each side for just a couple minutes. You slide it into the oven for a few more, and that's it.
sounds delicious.
The only thing I would say is I really, and I do address this in the recipe, I really recommend temping your proteins. They're expensive. And the biggest thing, uh, the most important aspect of making good protein, whether it be fish or beef or otherwise, is to not overcook it. So you don't want to leave that to chance. You want to have a temperature gauge and just pop that thing in there, check the temperature. You know when it's done. There's no guesswork. That's really the key to making a good protein.
That's a great tip. I appreciate that. Let's do another one.
So I was mentioning the summer kale and strawberry salad. That's a huge hit. And you really want to make it, it's all about the fresh strawberries. So you want to make it when strawberries are in season. You don't want to use winter strawberries, but it's a kale salad, has a really sweet lemony dressing. Kale has a little bit of a bitter edge, and the lemon dressing counters that. And it's got fresh, juicy strawberries. It's got a bit of black pepper, which plays really well with strawberries. And it's a simple salad, but like really impactful. People love it. Everybody that comes here, all my friends that come over for a bite, they always ask for it. So
And how do you
it's
make the
it's very
dressing?
popular. I think the thing that makes this dressing so good is that it's got a good bit of zest as well as the juice. The juice gives you the acid, but you really get the flavor and that sort of like lemon perfume from the zest.
Mm,
So I often use zest, and
yes.
not to mention gosh, you have a lemon, let's not waste the zest, you know?
Right.
So it is really the zest that gives it something special. And it's really sweet. It's sweetened with maple syrup. It's not a tart, acidic lemon dressing. It's intentionally sweet like lemonade. Another thing I want to mention, because a lot of the food, it's not bird food. I mean, it's hearty, you know, but there are a lot of like main dish salads and things like that. But for a really hearty dish, there's a savory French onion beef that's cooked up in, it's the only slow cooker recipe, like crock pot recipe in the book, but it makes a giant batch. It freezes beautifully if you're not serving a number of people. It's super easy, and I recommend serving it over garlic mashed cauliflower. So mashed cauliflower is like a righteous stand-in for mashed
Oh,
potatoes.
yeah.
Yeah, right. And that freezes beautifully too. So anybody, you know, like singletons can make any of this stuff too. And I always specify when something freezes really well. And in this case, it does.
No, that sounds great. So it's like mashed potatoes, but mashed cauliflower potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I make it with I've seen it made so many different ways. Some people just use olive oil, other people might use oat milk. I use coconut milk, like canned additive free coconut milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it complements the cauliflower really well.
It's your recipe for slow cooker French onion beef, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That sitting on top of the cauliflower, it just must be
Yes.
very, it's a real comfort food.
It is a comfort food. I think of it as boy food, just like if you're looking for something not only really hearty, but to like win over your husband with this book kind of thing. People ask me all the time, I want to eat like this, but I'm feeding a family. I have a husband with a big appetite. How do I accomplish that? And so I always just tell people what I do, which is like he eats what I eat, and then I augment with one other thing, generally something I don't have to make, like crusty artisan bread.
We are talking with cookbook author Rachel Riggs about her brand new book called In Good Health. Let's do another one or two that are healthy and delicious.
Sure. Okay. For a chocolate fix,
Ooh,
dark chocolate tahini truffles. I use Guittard chocolate, which is it's a family-owned company in San Francisco, but it's widely available in any grocery store. It's 100% chocolate, doesn't contain any sugar. And so I make these tahini truffles, but the main ingredients are 100% chocolate, maple syrup, tahini, which is ground sesame seeds, and those are the main ingredients, and they hold up in the fridge for forever.
you wouldn't think of combining tahini with dark chocolate.
Tahiti and dark chocolate actually is a really natural fit. There's a company that's now making a tahini chocolate spread that you can just eat right out of the container with a spoon. So
Ooh.
it's actually a really good fit. And this is one of those things that has broad appeal. Everybody loves it. It's great to sit out on, you know, like a buffet table. It's great to gift. It's great to have in your fridge or freezer to always have a snack on hand. And because it's sweetened with maple syrup, it has like a reasonable amount of protein and fat there for satiety. You know, it's kind of blood sugar friendly in that way. It's a great, easy snack or dessert. So there are, I don't know exactly, six, seven soups. All of the soups in this book are creamy soups. It's funny. I've recently been developing more brothy soups, but I was really in the mood for creamy soups for this book. I think they feel more luxurious. Thin brothy soups can occasionally feel like I don't know, like they miss the mark. Maybe they're not as satisfying. So in this book, my first book, they're all creamy soups. And in many of the cases, that's achieved by blending and by adding coconut milk. And so it's amazing what you can turn a pot of veg into when it's blended and coconut milk is added and it becomes this velvety, luxurious soup. So it's a really great way to get nutrition without kind of feeling like you're eating health food. I mean, really, they're all pretty luxurious. There's a carrot soup that I think I refer to as being greater than the sum of its parts. And that's exactly it, right? It's like essentially a pot of veg that looks completely unappetizing to me, blended and then coconut milk is added. So and I also want to add that I don't care for cooked carrots at all, but this soup, it has complexity because of the other ingredients. The onions are caramelized before the other veg is added, and there's a lot of other veg. There's a tiny bit, just kind of a whisper of pumpkin pie spice. It's like one of those staples. It's very popular.
Well, what I like is it's dairy free. I love making smooth soups like that are dairy free and you wouldn't even realize it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got coconut milk, so it has all of those
The
same
creaminess.
characteristics. Yeah, it's just not achieved with dairy milk.
Yeah, I think that's great. So that is your carrot soup.
Yes. I always say this is like a good way to get a hit of nutrition. There's a zesty herb tahini dip that's made with a huge amount of parsley, which can be really assertive, but when it's blended with these other things, a good bit of lemon, also the tahini for creaminess and a little bit of nuttiness. It's amazing how much parsley you can consume and it's not overly assertive. And I do specify that in the book too, because it has so much parsley. Usually we get little bits of parsley as a garnish, but I created this recipe specifically because I wanted to consume a lot of parsley because it's so healthful. It's such a nutritional powerhouse. I thought, how can I work a lot more of this into my diet? And I created this dip for that reason. So it pairs well with any veg. I like it specifically with carrots because it's just a good balance, that little subtle sweetness from the carrots against the herbaceous dip. But yeah, it's a staple. People love it too. Yeah.
We're talking with Rachel Riggs about her new book, In Good Health. Do you have any other tips that you'd like to share, Rachel?
I think one of the things I want to be sure to mention is that I think the cakes in this book are really life changing for people who have a sweet tooth, always want to have a cake on the counter, that kind of like welcoming, something to offer an unexpected guest, a bite in the afternoon. Um, the cakes in this book are all made with almond flour and maple syrup, and they all have a good bit of protein in them. They have balanced macros, and so they're mixed up in a single bowl with a whisk. There's no heavy equipment. There's no multiple bowls, sift this, dry ingredients, wet ingredients. These are everyday cakes that you whip up in one bowl. You get them into the oven in 10 minutes, and it makes it possible to just always have one around. And so um, I think that if you want to change your diet, it has to be something that's sustainable. Anybody can do anything for 2 weeks. I think we all remember the cabbage soup diet. At least I'm dating myself for sure. I'm sure Gen Z is like cabbage too, um, but to do something to make changes sustainable, you have to have things like sweets on board if you have a sweet tooth. And so I think the cakes really help achieve that. The everyday cake, I call it that because I ate it every day for years. When I changed my diet, it was one of the very first things I developed. And it was one of the reasons I knew I could do this. I mean, it was just so daunting at first. I'm like, how am I supposed to feed myself with these new, within these new parameters? And so I call it everyday cake because it's that easy. You make this cake, it's a single layer cake, and then you make a chocolate ganache and you just pour it over the top and you let it fall as it may. It just runs down the sides. And so it's super easy. It has 16 grams of protein per slice, and I ate it for my lunch every single day for years. So that's how it got its name.
Well, what a
Yeah.
great feeling to know that, you can have a piece of cake and you're getting your protein for the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Rachel, how do we find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at the.rachel.riggs. I've got a Substack newsletter that you can look up under Rachel Riggs also. My website is rachriggs.com. And yeah, I'd love for people to find me. When people want to make changes to their diet and they're not sure how, I really love offering my help. So I've got this book, which is a great tool, but I also like to be, really involved with helping people make those changes. So yeah, I hope people will find me.
I think it's a great book, and I think it's a great thing that you're doing to help all of us get healthier, at least a little bit more conscientious about our diets.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to change minds about what healthy food looks like. That's the ideal goal,
And food is medicine, that's for sure.
for sure.
We're talking with Rachel Riggs. Thanks for your time today, Rachel. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to Food Talk for Health with Tonia King. Thanks for joining us. Eat well to be well.
Subscribe to the podcast. Send us a text with any questions. The link is included. Food Talk for Health is produced by Creative Voice and Media. Thanks so much for listening.